Welcome back to the channel. This week's video features a Tesla Model 3 where we will be replacing a quarter panel and outer wheelhouse. The collision repair process will be showcased over multiple episodes in the coming weeks, so make sure to hit that subscribe button in the upper right hand corner so you don't miss new videos every Friday. The process for removing the quarter panel begins by grinding off the spot welds and SPRs using a belt sander with 80 grit. The wheel arch is now grinded to remove the rolled hem flange. The seam sealer covering where the quarter panel mounts to the taillight pocket is cleaned off, and the remaining SPRs and spot welds are grinded off the lower quarter, charge port area, and the trunk gutter. The two upper quarter panel sectioning locations are now cut using a 3-inch cutoff wheel and a mini cutoff wheel attachment. These locations are cut an inch or two below the dedicated sectioning locations, marked as the rough cuts, as the new quarter panel will be overlapped and trimmed in a future step when final fitting. The lower quarter panel sectioning location is now cut on the marked rough cut line using both cutoff wheels. A seam buster and hammer is now used to separate the lower rocker flange. A Mac torch is now used to warm up the structural glue in the wheel arch before separating the panels with a seam buster. Next, we will warm up the rear section of the quarter panel before separating the panel from the lower quarter extension, taillight pocket, and the charge port area with a seam buster. The rear door opening flange and the flange in the quarter window opening are both warmed up to help release the structural glue. A seam buster and hammer are both used to help separate the outer quarter panel from the inner. It's time to remove the quarter panel. We can now see the extent of damage to the outer wheelhouse. To change the outer wheelhouse, both the upper wheelhouse reinforcement and the C-pillar reinforcement must be replaced. We will now start grinding off the C-pillar reinforcement with a belt sander using 80 grit. This panel overlaps both the upper wheelhouse reinforcement and the outer wheelhouse. The C-pillar reinforcement is now warmed up to help release the structural glue. A seam buster is then used to help separate the panel. The striker reinforcement is double layered. So the first layer has been separated and the flange has been hammered over to gain access to grind the second layer. The rest of the panel is then warmed up, separated, and removed from the vehicle. It's time to start removing the upper wheelhouse reinforcement. First, all the spot welds are grinded using a belt sander with 80 grit. Then, all mating flanges are warmed up to help release the structural glue before removing the part from the vehicle with a seam buster. With both the upper wheelhouse reinforcement and the C-pillar reinforcement removed, we now have access to start removing the outer wheelhouse. We start by grinding spot welds using a belt sander with 80 grit. This spot weld will be drilled out using a 6.5mm drill bit, as the panel is the middle layer with both outer layers being non-damaged parts. The remaining spot welds attaching the wheelhouse to the lower wheelhouse extension are now grinded, and a Mac torch is being used to help release the structural glue. The seam buster and hammer is now used to separate the outer wheelhouse from the wheelhouse extension. This Tesla Model 3 is now fully cut apart. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the continuation videos coming soon.